Paul, when you think of a Jeep, you think of a track.
I think of like off the beaten track.
Well, that's funny because we have a Trackhawk right behind us, and the question is it as good as a BMW X6 M, which we've already taken on the track? So is it faster from 0 to 60, and is it quicker around the track? Only one way to find out.
Let's go do it.
On this episode of Hot or Not, we're going to take this $91,000 Jeep Trackhawk and we're going to find out if it's faster from 0 to 60 than a BMW X6 M, if it's faster around the track than the BMW, and then I'm going to take it into the canyons and see how it does as a road car.
Okay, X6 M. 0 to 60, I'll put my head against the headrest so I don't end up with chiropractic issues at the end of this. All right, there you go. 3.95 seconds to 60 at altitude. That is incredibly quick.
So what happens when you take a 707 horsepower Hellcat engine, stuff it in a Jeep, give it all-wheel drive and launch control? How fast is it from 0 to 60? And is it faster than the BMW X6 M? Well, that's up to Paul to find out.
Okay, so we got launch mode enabled on the Trackhawk. 707 horsepower. Gives you your brake pressure. 1,476 PSI of brake pressure. And launch, here we go. Oh, that was good. All right, and exactly 4 seconds flat, 0 to 60. Again, remember guys, we're at 5,200 plus feet of altitude. So I think this car does 3.3s or so normally. And so we're 7/10 down just because of the thin air that we've got here in Colorado. But that was quite a launch. I don't know if you got a sensation of that, but wow. It also has a very short first gear, spun the tires a tiny fraction in first gear, and then very quickly shifted to second gear. So pretty cool for 0 to 60 time. This thing kind of has a neat little party trick and the ability to do that. Of course, that's launch mode, so nothing from the driver other than a lot of left foot brake pressure, and then floor it, let off the brake, and away she goes.
But it was pretty cool.
It was cool. I know, it's cool, yeah. I said it in the car, I'm like, that's cool. So tons of horsepower, 550 or so horsepower, twin turbo V8. Let's see how she does. And there's that launch. Big lag in the shift. And a kind of a playful rear end in this car, and it really moves around with all that power. So it's all-wheel drive, sliding across the hump there, and picking up inside tires. I can feel that as I go across. Back on the gas here, let's see how she does here. Again, loads of power, pretty good grip, huge Michelin pilots on this car, so it's a high center gravity vehicle, but it's got loads of grip, and it feels a little unnerving, to be honest, to be up this high in a vehicle that's cornering this aggressively. You can feel it bouncing. Maybe you can see that on the camera, but it's just bouncing with the inside front tire and rear tires sometimes coming off the ground on this thing as I go. The steering is very artificial, but very fast, so you're basically pointing and squirting in what is a very, very violent video game. Wow, that's quite a ride. Definitely a quick lap time, and you earned every single second of it. All right, what we've got here with the Jeep Trackhawk is a pretty stout package as far as how much grip we're gonna make and hopefully how quickly we can slow this thing down. You can see those big Brembo brake calipers. The rotors are two-piece and they're 15.75 inches in diameter, so huge cast iron two-piece rotors. Not carbon ceramic, they're cast iron, but they're big. They'll get the job done, hopefully. And then for tires, we're on 20-inch rims, and it's a square setup, so they're the same all the way around. And we've got a 295 on that 20-inch rim. So a summer tire from Pirelli with the P0, it should make some grip, and hopefully we can haul this over 5,300 pounds of vehicle down from the speeds that this 707 horsepower engine can produce. Got launch control enabled, staging the car now. 707 horsepower SUV. Good idea? Let's find out. Transmission shifts very slowly. It has a lot of delay to it. Bit of understeer, bit of lurchiness coming out of the corners. Oh my goodness, this thing's all over the place. It porpoises back and forth, back and forth. Lots of grunt out of the motor. It doesn't roll a ton, but it's stiff, so it bounces. It's bouncing me everywhere. Understeer at turn in. With a little trail brake, you can get the rear to come out just a tick. But it's not happy doing this. Transmission's behind. It's heavy, 5,300 pounds. It doesn't want to stop.
X6 M went 104.37, this went 105.69, so it's a second slower than the X6 M.
And the X6 M had quite a bit less power,
yeah,
but it was just more refined. And don't get me wrong, the X6 M is also not good around the track. You know, you just get a good feel for what we're talking about when you talk about how important it is for a vehicle to be low and light if you want to drive it on the track. Primarily, the higher and the heavier it gets, the worse it gets. And you can't fix that with bigger tires and more grip and more horsepower. All you do is end up, you know, with something that's even more difficult to drive on the track. Even though it'll go faster, it'll never go as fast as a sedan.
Well, I say we throw on some KO2s and take it off-road.
It's like, we're gonna have to change the wheels too. Yeah. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
At Glamis, I think this supercharged engine on the sand would be a hoot.
Yeah.
It would be a hoot. Yeah, that's kind of where it belongs. I'm done.
One sexy helmet, Paul, but I won't be needing this because obviously you weren't impressed with it on the track. But the question is, how does it do as a canyon carver?
Hopefully better.
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Paul is actually the former Stig from Top Gear USA, so I have a lot of respect when it comes to what he says about this vehicle on the track. But at the same time, I gotta say, I completely disagree with him, at least when it comes to this Trackhawk on the road. So sure, on the track it may porpoise and it may wallow and it may handle like an oversized, well, let's call it a elephant or hippo, but that's not the point, Paul. You guys know that. This is a vehicle that you can buy as a family truckster, that you can convince your wife, as importantly, that it is a family truckster, and that you can take on the road with your kids in the back, with your bikes on the back, heck, even tow something with it, and yet you're gonna have the biggest, baddest, meanest family truckster of them all, because at any stoplight, anybody that you pull up next to will, if they're a car guy or car gal, will immediately know that you are in a 707 horsepower family truckster and that you can whoop their ass at any stoplight drag race. On the road, carving canyons, it's fine. Look at that, it just sticks like it's on rails. Because I'm not driving this car at 9.9 tenths of its ability. Will it go off-road? No, it won't go off-road. Will it tear up a track? Probably won't tear up a track. But with all-wheel drive and with just about 650 pound-foot of torque and with 707 horsepower, what it will do is 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds using launch control with you, your wife, and your 2 kiddos in the back and Farfel the dog all day long. And that is what makes this vehicle worth $90K. It's that simple. Paul, so we said that the X6 M was not hot, but how about the Trackhawk?
Well, if the X6 M is not hot, then this is way, sub-zero kind of not hot, because the X6 M was a much, much better vehicle than the Trackhawk.
On the road, it's a lot of fun and you feel like you've got the biggest tool in the chest.
Yeah, and there's something to that, but I think it goes to the whole, like America switching over from sedans to SUVs. America loves performance, so it kind of makes sense that they make performance SUVs until you go through a high school physics class and you realize what a bad idea it is to make a high center gravity vehicle a quote-unquote performance vehicle. They just don't work in anything other than maybe slightly spirited road speeds like you're talking about in the canyon.
All right, so Paul says not, and I'm gonna go with lukewarm. As always, this is Roman.
And this is Paul.
Saying thanks for watching, and check out tflcar.com for more news, views,
and real world reviews.
See you next time, ciao.